We are now at the Luxor temple, constructed approximately in 1400 BC. It may have been where many of the pharaohs were crowned. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In the overhead photo on the left, you can see the cruise ships that are docked along the river there. The Luxor obelisks, over 3,000 years old, were carved to stand on either side of the entrance to the Luxor temple in the reign of Ramses II. The right-hand stone, 75 feet high, was moved in the 1830s to Paris, France. At the entry, there are the Colossi of Ramses II. The close-up photo of the foot shows the size and result of everyone touching the middle toe. I have often complained that the bottom 6 feet of travel photos is filled with tourists. This is the bark shrine of the Theban trinity Amun, Mut, and Kansu. A bark is a type of ship. Transportation to the afterlife was believed to be accomplished by way of barks. Since the deities were thought to travel in this fashion in the sky, the Milky Way was seen as a great waterway that was as important as the Nile on Earth. This mosque is integrated into the structure of the Luxor temple, making it one of the oldest continuously used temples in the world. Dating back to the reign of Pharaoh Amenhotep III in the 14th century BC. It was converted to a mosque in 640 CE. This is the right side going into the Ramesses II court. This is the left side of Ramesses II court. Here we are exiting the Ramesses II court. Leaving Ramesses II court, there are broken statues on both sides. On the left here, the statues are said to be Tutankhamun and his wife. Another source says this is Amun and Mut. And another source indicates that the threesome on the other side is Ramesses II. The Great Colonnade of Amenhotep III has 7 pairs of 52-foot high open flower papyrus columns, which still support their huge blocks. Peristyle court is a continuous porch formed by a row of columns surrounding the perimeter of a building or a courtyard. Here there are 14 columns topped with papyrus-shaped capitals. Each column is 75 feet high, with a circumference of around 33 feet. Both sides on the colonnade are enclosed with masonry walls that are covered with reliefs showing scenes relating to the Opet festival. The colonnade, along with the decorated walls, was completed during the reign of King Tutankhamun and King Horemheb. The hypostyle hall. In architecture, a hypostyle hall has a roof which is supported by columns. According to the Egyptian mythology, columns in the hypostyle hall symbolically supporting the heavens. Here there are 32 massive columns. And every inch covered in story carvings. Our one night in Luxor at the Jolieville Hotel on Kings Island in the Nile River. This was included in our tour package. I did see it on hotels.com for $86. It would have been nice to enjoy the pool, but that evening I started to feel a cold coming on, and it took 4 weeks to get over the cough. Amenhotep III, also known as Amenhotep the Magnificent or Amenhotep the Great. His reign marked a time of exceptional prosperity and grandeur, during which Egypt reached the height of its artistic and international influence, making him one of ancient Egypt's greatest pharaohs. He is also one of the few pharaohs worshipped as a deity during his lifetime. Amenhotep III's process of immortalizing himself in statuary was prevalent. His approach to statuary representation and inscriptions had supported his ideology as being much more than the King of Kings. His titles repeatedly called him the good God. This slide shows what is left of the mortuary temple of Amenhotep III. The aerial view and the satellite view. To the far right, I've circled where we see the Colossi of Memnon, and in the middle there, the blue circles, what's remaining a part of the temple, and then the site plan over here on the left with both of those areas circled. The mortuary temple was a massive construction built during the pharaoh's lifetime, where he was worshipped as a god on earth, both before and after his departure from this world. In its day, this temple complex was the largest and most opulent in ancient Egypt, covering a total of 86 acres. Even the temple of Karnak, as it stood in Amenhotep's time, was smaller. The temple faced to the east, most likely due to the sun rising in the east, since Amenhotep III revered the sun god Amun. The Colossi of Memnon can be found at the front of the mortuary temple, there on the far right. As one enters, the long hypostyle hall leads to the peristyle sun court, and the whole area is surrounded by 3 pylons, also known as gates. The sun court is divided into the north and south halves and consists of statues of Amenhotep III and the gods. The north side had brown quartzite statues from Lower Egypt, while the south side had red granite statues from Aswan in Upper Egypt. This slide shows what the memorial temple or mortuary temple of Amenhotep III might have looked. Amenhotep had positioned the memorial temple in front of the floodplain of the Nile in an effort to fill a lake in front of the Colossi. Furthermore, this lake acted as a water retention reservoir and prevented the temple from flooding completely during high inundations. Amenhotep III did not plan for the site to flood altogether, as the surrounding wall for the temple behind the Colossi was constructed primarily of mud brick. With the exception of the Colossi, very little remains today of Amenhotep's temple. It stood on the edge of the Nile floodplain, and successive annual flooding gnawed away at its foundations, and it was not unknown for later rulers to dismantle, purloin, or reuse portions of their predecessors' monuments. The Colossi of Memnon are two large stone statues of the pharaoh Amenhotep III, which stand at the front of the ruined Mortuary temple of Amenhotep III. They have stood since 1350 BC. The statues contain Roman-era inscriptions in Greek and Latin dated between AD 20 and 250. Many of these inscriptions on the northernmost statue, that would be on the right, make reference to the Greek mythological king Memnon, whom the statue was then erroneously thought to represent. The twin statues depict Amenhotep III in a seated position, his hands resting on his knees and his gaze facing eastwards toward the river. Both statues are quite damaged, with the features above the waist virtually unrecognizable. The southern statue comprises a single piece of stone, but the northern figure has a large extensive crack in the lower half, and above the waist consists of 5 tiers of stone. It is believed that originally the two statues were identical to each other. In this photo, you see the royal tombs that are just above the mortuary temple of Amenhotep III. Next, we are going to the Valley of the Kings.